I wasn't invited to my brother's wife's anniversary dinner, but I got the invoice, $3,100 for flowers and lighting, charged to my account. When I asked, my mother said, it was easier this way. You'd say no. An hour later, my brother posted, funded by someone who finally did something useful. I replied, you just lost useful, froze the card, reported the charges, and then sent one email. I've always kept things simple. My name's Jonas, I'm 39, and I live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I work as a civil engineer, quiet job, quiet life, mostly the kind of person people forget is in the room until they need something, which is probably how this whole mess started. It was a Monday night when I saw the charge. I was half watching the news and paying bills when I opened up the company expense card I barely use. I only kept it active because mom once needed help buying a washer on short notice, and my regular bank was being annoying about the limit. There it was. A charge for $3,100 at a banquet hall downtown. The date matched last weekend. I stared at it for a full minute, thinking maybe it was a mistake. Maybe someone cloned the card or something. But then I saw the vendor name. I knew that place. It was where my brother, Wade, had thrown that over-the-top anniversary bash for his wife, Claire. A party I wasn't invited to. I felt it right away. That burning mix of confusion, then anger, and then, worse, recognition. Because this wasn't the first time something like this had happened. But $3,100? Without asking? I texted my mom. Did you put a charge on my expense card? She replied within seconds. It was just easier this way. You just say no. I didn't even respond to that. I went straight to Wade's social media, and there it was. A video clip of Claire laughing under string lights while a live band played. Wade had captioned it. Funded by someone who finally did something right. I stared at those words so long I didn't even blink. Not a single thank you. Not a call. Just this smug garbage. So I replied, publicly. You just lost someone useful. Then I froze the card and filed a fraud report with the bank. That was it. I didn't yell. I didn't call anyone. I just took the thing they always took for granted, my money, and yanked it out from under them. I got a few texts later from Claire. Something passive-aggressive like, really? You're doing this on Facebook? I didn't answer. They wanted silence from me unless I was signing checks. So I gave them silence. Just without the money. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking about all the times they'd leaned on me. Rent help, car repairs, groceries for mom, Claire's dental bill last fall. They never treated it like generosity. It was always framed as my obligation. I made good money, and they didn't. So in their minds, I owed them. But now, I was done. Wade said I finally did something right. He was correct. Just not in the way he thought. About 3 weeks passed without a word from anyone. No apology. No explanation. Just silence, like they were pretending nothing happened. It almost worked, almost. Then I saw the pictures. Claire had posted them. A photo carousel full of glitter, tulle, and pastel chaos. My niece, Lily, in what looked like a professionally made unicorn princess costume, stood on a small decorated stage surrounded by other kids in matching themed outfits. There were balloon arches, a glitter cannon, even some kind of custom-built castle backdrop. I didn't need to count how many dollars that cost. I just scrolled, waiting for the punchline. It came in the caption. Thank you for making this dream come true. Couldn't have done it without our amazing support system. #CaldwellClan. #grateful. No tag. No mention of me. Of course. I opened my expense card app on a hunch. There it was. A $1,740 charge from Starlight Event Creations. I clicked into the receipt. The description read, Children's Custom Party Package, Full Services. My chest got tight. They did it again. After everything. The part that really set me off, though, was what came next. I got an email, yes, an actual thank you email, from the event planner. Jonas, thank you again for your continued generosity. It was a pleasure working with the Caldwell family again. Looking forward to future collaborations. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Continued generosity. Like I was just some happy donor throwing cash at people who couldn't be bothered to talk to me. I didn't respond to her email. I didn't even breathe for a few seconds. I just went straight back into the app and shut the card down permanently. No more freezing. No more reactivation. I clicked the option that said Permanently Close Account, and when the prompt asked if I was sure, I didn't hesitate. Yes, I was sure. I didn't tell them. I didn't send a warning. They had stolen from me, again, and treated it like routine. And for what? A costume party for a kid I hadn't even seen in 4 months. A kid who, last I heard, thought I was always too busy to come around. I sat there at my kitchen table, staring at the receipts, trying to make sense of what the hell was happening. Then the memories started flooding in. Mom's rent 2 summers ago when she said she was short because of the AC unit. Wade's tires last winter. Claire's therapy copay. The utilities I used to cover automatically, without anyone even having to ask. I'd always told myself it was temporary. that they'd get it together eventually. But that was the lie. They never planned to get it together. They planned to keep leaning on me forever. And I let them. Until now. That night, I started drafting an outline. Not a confrontation. Not a text message. A legal outline. A documented record of every dollar I had spent on them over the last 5 years. Not for reimbursement, just for leverage. Because I finally understood. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an oversight. It was a pattern. And I was finally done playing the role of the useful one. I didn't send a warning text. I didn't knock on anyone's door. I wrote a letter. Not to my family, to a lawyer. I laid it all out, methodical and calm. A timeline of charges. The two biggest ones, Wade and Claire's anniversary party, and Lily's glitter explosion birthday, plus smaller expenses going back nearly 5 years. Some authorized, most not. And all of it tied to one person, me. The attorney, Samantha, responded the next day with a quick call and then a follow-up email. She said what I already knew. I had a case. Not necessarily for jail time, but enough for a formal demand letter, and if necessary, civil court. I didn't tell my family any of this. Instead, I waited. The silence from me must have started to rattle them because by the weekend, I started getting missed calls. Not from Wade or Claire, never from them, but from Mom. Then one from Dad. Then 2 more from a number I didn't recognize. All voicemails. All vague. One of them from my father caught me off guard. I hadn't heard his voice in weeks. Jonas, this is getting out of hand. You're upset. Okay, we get it. But it was a party. Claire didn't mean to upset you. This reaction is disproportionate. Disproportionate. Like this was some minor misunderstanding. Like someone had borrowed a sweater without asking, not stolen thousands of dollars. I forwarded the voicemail straight to Samantha. Her reply was simple. Thanks. I'll include that as context. That same afternoon, I sat at my desk, printed the letter she drafted, and read it 3 times. A formal demand for repayment and acknowledgement of unauthorized card use. No threats. No courtroom talk, yet. Just clear consequences if they didn't respond. I thought about calling my mom first. Giving her a heads up. Part of me still wanted to hear her admit what they'd done. Not to explain it, just to say it out loud. But I didn't. I signed the letter. I sealed it. And I dropped it in the mail that same evening. I didn't feel relief when the envelope disappeared through the slot. I felt something closer to stillness. Like I had finally pressed pause on years of noise, years of being expected to say yes before the question even left their mouths. That weekend, the phones rang more. Mom's name blinking on the screen. Claire once. Even Wade, though I had to double-check the number, he never called me directly. I didn't answer any of them. They weren't calling to apologize. They were calling because they could feel it, the shift, the financial airlock closing around them. By Monday, the silence on my end was louder than their panic. I could feel it, like a pressure building under glass. Let it build, I thought, because the letter was already on its way. Tuesday morning, I opened my front door to a pink bakery box sitting on the welcome mat. No note. Just a box of fancy cupcakes, the kind that cost $8 a piece and come in flavors with names like Red Velvet Rosewater and Caramel Whisper. I brought them inside, opened the lid, and there they were, 12 cupcakes spelling out sorry in pastel frosting, 1 letter at a time. I stood there staring at them, not feeling anything. Not angry. Not touched. Just done. I scraped the box into the trash, letter by letter, cupcake by cupcake. Didn't even taste one. I wasn't interested in sugar-coated apologies, especially not when they came without names, voices, or actual remorse. By noon, Samantha confirmed the letter had been delivered and signed for. By 4 o'clock, the family group chat exploded. It started with Mom. Mom, Jonas, what is this? A lawyer? Really? Then Wade chimed in. Wade, you're taking this way too far, man. A party and some planning help isn't worth burning the whole bridge. Claire followed with her usual brand of faux humility. Claire, we didn't steal anything. You're acting like we broke into your house. It was just easier to use the card, especially since you never say no. Then Dad, hours later, trying to be the voice of reason. Dad, let's not drag outsiders into family business. Come by. We'll talk. This isn't the way to handle it. I didn't reply. Not once. I just watched the panic ping from screen to screen. Mom circled back around. Mom, we didn't raise you to be cruel. Think about what you're doing. And there it was, not remorse. Not understanding. Just guilt. As always. So I did what I should have done years ago. I left the chat. No grand goodbye. No explanation. Just, Jonas has left the conversation. After that, I logged into my bank app and turned off the quiet monthly transfers I'd been sending to Mom since Dad got his hours cut. I canceled the automatic payment for the utility bill at their house, something they never asked me to do, but always assumed I would. That night, I got a voicemail from Dad. Jonas, listen, this is getting out of hand. I know you're upset, but we're still a family. Think of the family. That's what matters. I stared at the wall as it played. Think of the family. The family who thought of me as a credit line with a pulse. They weren't sorry. They were cornered. The group chat went silent after that. No one had anything left to say when the money stopped flowing. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. For the first time, they were starting to understand. I wasn't angry. I was finished. By the end of that week, the inner circle went quiet. But the outer orbit? They were just getting started. It began with a text from my cousin Rachel. Hey, I don't know all the details, but I heard things got a little tense with the family. Maybe just take a breath? We're all on the same team. Then came Aunt Lynn, who always managed to have a stake in drama that didn't involve her. Family isn't about keeping score, Jonas. It's about forgiveness. You've always been so level-headed. Don't throw that away now. I didn't reply. They hadn't reached out to check on me. Not when Wade used my card. Not when I disappeared from birthday parties and holidays. Not when I stopped showing up at family dinners and no one even asked why. But now that I'd stopped paying, now it was urgent. Now I was being dramatic, vindictive, bitter. Wade posted a story on social media the next day, a blurry screenshot of a quote, something like, "Some people pretend to be kind but only help others to feel powerful." Claire commented, "So true." I didn't even roll my eyes. I just took a screenshot and saved it in the same folder where I'd been keeping everything else. The pattern wasn't hard to see anymore. I hadn't become the villain because of what I did. I became the villain because I stopped playing my part. They didn't want peace. They wanted compliance. By the following Monday, my inbox had 3 messages from people I hadn't spoken to in over a year. Old family acquaintances, second cousins, people who didn't even send holiday cards. "Hey, just heard some stuff from your mom. Doesn't sound like you. You okay? Your brother said you're going through something. If you ever need to talk. Heard you're mad about a party? Life's too short, man." And that's when I knew. They weren't embarrassed because they'd hurt me. They were embarrassed because I made it public. Because I disrupted the image, the illusion, that we were one big happy family. I closed my laptop and got to work. First, I shut down the last shared savings account that still had my name on it. It was a holdover from years ago, something Mom set up when Dad lost his job, and we needed a fast place to deposit funds. I'd forgotten it even existed. Next, I changed the passwords to all my financial accounts, credit monitoring, and tax software. Every door that had been cracked open, slammed shut. Then I drafted a declaration. I didn't plan to send it, not yet, but I wanted it written. A document formally stating that I was no longer providing financial support to any family member, effective immediately and indefinitely. Not out of cruelty, but clarity. No loopholes. No exceptions. The final straw came that night. A voicemail from Wade. "You're really gonna let this destroy everything? You think you're making a point, but you're hurting everyone now. Lily's asking why Uncle Jonas doesn't come around anymore. You really want to be the guy who disappears just to prove you're right." I deleted it halfway through. They weren't sorry. They just hated that I'd stopped being useful. And I wasn't going back. It was a Thursday evening when I heard the knock. Not a text. Not a call. An actual knock on my front door. I peeked through the window and saw my father standing there. He was holding an envelope in one hand and something that looked like an old spiral-bound notebook in the other. I almost didn't open the door. But curiosity, or maybe just closure, got the better of me. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. I didn't answer. I just stepped aside. He walked in slow, like the air inside the house was heavier than he expected. He looked around, probably noticing how little had changed since the last time he was here months ago, maybe more. "I'm not here to argue," he said. I nodded once, waiting. He held out the envelope first. I took it, opened it, and found a check inside made out to me for $3,000. "Partial repayment," he said. "It's what I could manage right now." Then he handed me the notebook. "You might want to look at that." I flipped it open. It was a list. A handwritten record of every financial contribution I'd made to the family over the years. Dates, amounts, short notes. Jonas paid mortgage, September. Jonas covered Claire's dental. Jonas transferred for utility, emergency fund. It spanned nearly a decade. I kept turning pages, each one packed with entries in different handwriting. My mom's, Dad's, maybe even Claire's. They'd kept track of it all. Every dollar. "You kept a log?" I asked, stunned. He rubbed his hands together, nervous. "Your mother started it, I think. We just never thought it would come to this." "So you knew?" I said. "You always knew how much I was giving. How often? You knew the numbers." He nodded, looking down. "Yeah. And still you all acted like it was normal. We thought you'd come around like always," he admitted. "You always did. No matter how mad you got, you'd cool off. We figured this time would be the same." "But it wasn't," I said flatly. "No, it wasn't." We stood in silence for a few moments. The kind of silence that felt like it had years packed into it. "Why are you really here, Dad?" He looked up at me, tired. "I don't know. Maybe to give you that. Maybe to say, you were right." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so late. So hollow. Like saying, you were right, could undo the weight of being used by the people who were supposed to protect you. I appreciate the honesty, I said. But it doesn't change anything. I figured. I'm not angry anymore, I added. Just done. He looked around again, like the living room might hold an answer he couldn't find. Then he nodded. I miss you, he said quietly. I miss the version of you who didn't see me as a wallet, I replied. He didn't argue. He just turned and walked back toward the door. Before he left, he paused. Do you want us to stop trying? I thought about Lily. About that voicemail Wade left. About the cupcakes spelling sorry. About Mom's silence except when it was polished into guilt. I want you to understand that this wasn't a tantrum. This was a boundary, I said. He nodded again, slower this time. Message received. He stepped outside. I closed the door behind him. Later that night, I tucked the notebook into the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. Not as a keepsake, as a reminder. Because that ledger didn't make me feel seen. It proved exactly how long they'd been keeping score. And how long I hadn't. A week after Dad's visit, I got a thick envelope in the mail from a place I didn't recognize, Crestfield Academy. Fancy letterhead. Gold embossing. I almost tossed it, assuming it was a flyer or fundraising letter. Then I saw my name. Dear Mr. Caldwell, thank you for your recent generous contribution toward our scholarship fund. Your support has enabled Lily Caldwell's continued enrollment at Crestfield under the Friends of the Future grant, which now bears your name. I sat down on the edge of the couch, rereading the letter twice. I hadn't donated anything to any school. I'd never even heard of Crestfield. Inside the envelope was a certificate. Jonas Caldwell Honorary Donor Scholarship. My name. Their school logo. A little gold seal at the bottom. I checked the banking apps again, just to be sure. Nothing. No recent transfers. No payments. No donations. But then it hit me. That old shared savings account I had just closed out? It must have had my name still on it when someone used it. Probably Mom or Wade, slipping in a donation. Just enough to claim I had funded Lily's education. It wasn't about the money. It was about the image. To them, it probably seemed harmless. They got to send Lily to a prestigious private school, make it look like I was involved, keep up appearances. But to me, it was identity fraud. They were using my name to fake generosity I didn't offer, and wouldn't have, if they'd just asked. I called Crestfield the next morning. I asked to speak to the finance department. After being transferred twice, a chipper woman named Melanie confirmed the details. Yes, we have the donation logged under Jonas Caldwell. It came through an account shared with Lydia Caldwell. And you verified authorization with both parties? Well, the account holder listed was Lydia, but since your name was on the form, I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. Please remove my name from any scholarship program immediately, I said. It was not authorized. In fact, it may be a legal issue. Melanie's tone shifted. I understand. I'll flag this for our legal department. I hung up and called Samantha. She didn't sound surprised. Let's update the file, she said. We'll draft a second warning. Much stronger this time. By the next day, a new letter was ready. This one made it crystal clear. Any further use of Jonas Caldwell's name, likeness, or financial association, real or implied, without direct written permission would result in immediate legal action. One more infraction, and we were going to court. I signed it. We sent it certified, again. I didn't wait for the response this time. I didn't need to, because now I knew this wasn't a family misunderstanding. This was theft, wrapped in family colors. And they just crossed a line they couldn't uncross. The first letter was a warning. This one? This one was a fuse. It came in a plain white envelope with big, uneven letters spelling my name in purple marker. No return address. I opened it at the kitchen counter, expecting junk or maybe something anonymous. Instead, I pulled out a sheet of lined notebook paper, decorated with little hearts and stick figures drawn in sparkly gel pen. The handwriting was crooked and full of misspellings, but I would have recognized it anywhere. It was from Lily. Dear Uncle Jonas, why don't you come anymore? Did I do something wrong? Mommy says you were just busy, but I think you were mad. I miss you. I miss when you used to come to my parties and when you gave me piggyback rides. I drawed you a picture so you don't forget me. Love. Lily. Folded inside was a crayon drawing me, her, and what I guessed was our old family dog, Baxter, even though he'd passed 2 years ago. We were smiling, holding hands. The sun had a face and sunglasses. Pure, innocent imagination. I sat down slowly, the letter resting on my knee. I hadn't cried through any of this. Not when Wade used my card. Not when Mom guilt-tripped me. Not even when I had to send legal letters to the people I used to eat Sunday dinner with every week. But that drawing? That broke me. Because Lily was the only one who had written to me without an agenda. No manipulation. No blame. Just a child, missing her uncle. I wrote back that night. Dear Lily, thank you for your letter. It made me smile a lot. I miss you too. You didn't do anything wrong. None of this is your fault. Grown-ups sometimes make choices that hurt people, even if they don't mean to. I love you very much, and I always will. I might not come around for a while, but that doesn't mean I stopped caring. You're smart and kind and funny, and I hope you never stop drawing pictures or asking questions. Be good in school. Help your mom. And remember that no matter what anyone says, you're never forgotten. Love. Uncle Jonas. I kept my tone simple, gentle. No anger. No side-taking. I folded the letter carefully, placed it in a new envelope, and dropped it in the mail the next morning. That night, I opened my bottom desk drawer, the same one where I had tucked away the notebook Dad brought over, and added Lily's letter right on top. It was the only thing I couldn't toss. The only connection I still wanted. Everything else, every voicemail, every charge, every fake apology, was part of a system built on using me. But not Lily. She was just a kid. A good one. Unaware of the weight being passed around like hot coals in our family. She was the only honest part of it all. And I wasn't going to let them use her to pull me back in. The last thing tying me to them was my phone number. And my email. And maybe a few old online accounts that still had my name listed next to theirs on billing profiles or emergency contacts. I spent a full Sunday morning going through all of it. First, I changed my number. Not a soft block, not a quiet do not disturb. A full disconnect. New number, new voicemail, and I didn't give it to anyone but work and a few friends. Same with my email, set up a new one. Left the old one open just long enough to sweep out anything important, then closed it. The last account was an old cloud storage plan that somehow is still being shared between me, my dad, and Wade. I removed their access and shut it down. Then I double-checked all financial apps, all digital banking, all autopay setups. Anything with a shared fingerprint, I wiped clean. It was like taking apart a machine I'd built but never realized how complex it had become. Then I reached out to a handful of mutual contacts, people who knew both me and my family. I didn't send a mass message. Just a few quiet notes to folks I trusted. Hey, just a heads up. I've stepped away from the family for personal reasons. If anything strange comes through using my name, feel free to verify with me directly. I didn't get nosy questions. Most people just replied with some version of understood. One or two sent back a cautious, good for you. By then, the silence had started to feel normal. Peaceful, even. Until it wasn't. 2 weeks later, I was walking into the grocery store when I heard my name. Jonas. I turned. It was Mom and Wade. They looked startled to see me, like maybe they'd expected me to vanish off the face of the earth, not just walk into a Hy-Vee on a Thursday like a regular person. Wade smiled first. That fake, smooth smile he used at family gatherings when he needed to borrow something. Hey, man, he said, like nothing had happened. You got a second? I didn't stop walking. Jonas, wait, Mom said, picking up her pace. We just want to talk. No pressure. Just talk. I turned to face them but didn't take a step closer. I'm not angry, I said, but I don't owe you a conversation. Mom opened her mouth, but I raised my hand gently. You made your choices. I made mine. Wade looked like he wanted to argue. Mom looked tired, like maybe she finally believed this wasn't just a phase. I turned and walked away. Didn't rush. Didn't look back. The next day, I got one final email from her, my mother. Subject line, Family Matters. It was long, polished, and full of phrases like, love conquers all, and this family was built on sacrifice. I didn't even finish reading it. I blocked the address. That was it. No fireworks. No revenge speech. Just the quiet, steady finality of closing a door and locking it behind you. Sometimes peace doesn't come with reconciliation. Sometimes, peace means never opening that door again.